Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about the nervous system dysregulation. What does that even mean? What does that make you think about? Well, this is what we are going to talk about today with Mitch, who's going to really help us think about this in a whole new way. So, thank you so much, Mitch, for coming on my show and sharing your time with me and your perspective. You could be doing anything right now, but you are with me. So I'm truly honored to have this time with you. So let's just dive in. When you hear those words, nervous system dysregulation, what does that even make you think about?
Mitzi, thanks you so much for having me on. I'm excited to share. Yes, I am here with you. So yeah, we're gonna dive right into it. When I hear nervous system dysregulation, I think of being stuck, and you got people know fight or flight. They may know freeze and fawn, which is more of a shutdown. The fight or flight is more activation, things like anxiety. And then on the other side, the freeze, that's it's more like collapse and fatigue and things like that. And so when I hear dysregulation, I feel like it's getting stuck. As humans, not everything is calm, and it's not supposed to be. But we're meant to meet the moment and be able to have the capacity to meet the emotions, the sensations. But when we have trauma and early experiences that were too much, we don't have the capacity in our nervous system. And when I say capacity, it's kind of like walking into a gym and expecting to lift really heavy weight on the first day. So we don't have the capacity to lift weight as a beginner. And so if our nervous system is dysregulated and we get stressed, it's really easy to get stuck in the really high activation with the anxiety, or to get stuck shut down. And somebody may say, "No, I don't really feel anything." Or we oscillate between those two and kind of have like a mixed state.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the way that you broke it down to basically like getting stuck. You know what I mean? Anybody can relate to that. Anybody can put themselves, close their eyes, and position themselves in a moment where they felt stuck, where they
Mhm.
felt that high anxiety, where they felt that fear factor come in, like, like what do I even do? Like, or that numbing factor. Oh my goodness, how many times have been so overwhelmed, frustrated, where you're just like, I just don't feel anything. I am just operating as a unit. You know what I mean? And there's so many people I have encountered who feel that way, and it's so sad. So
Mhm.
sad because it's like depending on where they are in their frame of mind, where that giving up moment, oh, it's so hard to motivate somebody who's in that giving up moment. So like how would you motivate somebody at at that point where they have given up?
Well, if they've got to a point where they're giving up, I think that's where education comes in.
Yeah.
It's learning about the biology of stress and how our nervous system works, what's going on for you, and that the nervous system is meant to shift and change. And so, with someone who's stuck, just learning, like, oh, like a lot of the work that I do with clients is normalizing what's going on. That, hey, yeah, you've been through some shit and it was really difficult, and that's hard and it's tough, and what you're experiencing is normal. And so we're going to dive into some in the beginning too. It is so much education. Again, normalizing their emotions, their sensations, whatever's coming up, and saying, yeah, yeah, man, your nervous system is actually working perfect for the situations and the experiences that you've been through. So it's normal, and then let's learn. And then as we learn, we can start to look for those shifts. And it's kind of like putting in the reps. The more we see it, the more we start to believe it. We start to experience and feel that in our nervous system. And yeah, the more safe we feel, the more our nervous system gives us, and the more we're able to meet. And it's really meeting these younger parts that didn't get to express themselves. And
Yeah.
when we meet that with compassion instead of trying to fix it and make it go away, magic happens.
Oh, absolutely. I love it, Mitch. I love your perspective and the way that you broke it down and making people realize it's normal. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We weren't really taught this. So many generations continue to operate in a system that is not very functional. I mean, it's not very. it doesn't really get you where you need to be. You know what I mean? It's like it's like if you got a motorized bike, not realizing there's a motor on it and you're still riding the pedals. And you know what I mean? You're still riding the pedals, pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. And then you realize, oh, if I put gas in it, then I can turn it on and it goes and it gets me there faster and I'm able to do so many things. And it's amazing because people do not realize that's kind of what it like that's how I see it. You know what I mean? Because I'm a visual person, so I take words and I have little movie theaters in my mind, and and I just see it all. So that's how I seen it, and it's so real because we are operating on a system that is not giving us what we need. You know what I mean? We're living in this perspective. We have this narrative that it's not going to work or it won't get any better than this. But when you educate someone, you're like, it's all normal. What you're doing, what you're feeling, what you do, everything is normal because you're stepping in to a new chapter in your life. You're experiencing something new. You heard a bad situation happen. You know, grief is something that really holds on us. And the fact that you talked about trauma. Oh, I love that because it's so real. We have to hug our younger self. We have to acknowledge our younger self. We have to realize that our younger self is trying to take the real and trying to really let you know that this may be dangerous. You know what I mean? And that's all that it is, but it's normal. And I love that you say that it's normal. And I love that you're putting that into your client's mind and their perspective because it's like I say, it's like you have to shift your head because we have blinders on and we are focusing on one direction. But when you shift, you realize, oh wow, there's more. You know what I mean? Oh wow, there's all these endless opportunities, or this is okay. I just have to learn to feel this, learn to process this. And then while I'm doing this, I can recognize what causes this. So then if I'm in this situation again, I know how to handle this in a better way. Because that's where a lot of the times I've learned that addiction comes into the place because it's like a stress reliever. You know what I mean? You're trying to stress relieve whatever situation that you feel anxiety in or you feel stressed out in, and then you go into these bad habits that can eventually lead to addiction. You know what I mean? So it really does bring it all into perspective, and it really has to. You have to ask yourself these hard questions. You know what I mean? Like, what really makes this work for you? So it's like I have to ask you, Mitch, when did you realize your system was irregulated, if that's the right word?
That's a great question. Let me write that down because I want to go back and you said some really cool things there. When did I notice? Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think it all starts with awareness, right? And so much of this is unconscious, and again, that's
Yeah.
because the unconscious is protecting us. We have
Hmm.
protective parts that wipe our memory of these really hard things because again, we don't have the capacity. It's too much for our nervous system, and so when you're describing that person, it's me. You know, I had so much sensation that I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what emotions were. You know, as men, I think we're allowed to have like anger and rage, and that's about
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
I just picture this duck on the top of the water, and it
Okay.
looks smooth and it's gliding, but
Hmm.
underneath, you know, those little legs they're going crazy. But
They're working.
we're not aware of that, and so because we have conditioning that says, okay, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm too much, and so we take on these protective parts that keep us in connection so that we can get love. So, and I do that in air quotes. We can get love and we can get
Hmm.
attention, and those are things like the people pleasing, the
Yeah.
perfectionism, the going in our head to figure it out, the all or
Hmm.
nothing, and really that's just a lot of you know, protective mechanisms that's helping us keep safe, us feel safe. But really, we're buried way underneath that. And that was certainly me when I started to notice this stuff. You know, I had years and years of chronic disease. I had, you know, Lyme disease and mold and heavy metals. I was diabetic. I was overweight. I had lots of TBIs and car accidents. I mean, you name it. The universe was really trying to wake me up. And
Yeah.
I got my first dose of awareness, you know, where we all start in a men's group. And what's kind of funny and can show you how far you know you can come in go in a short period of time is I was reading the Body Keeps the Score. I was a health coach. I was used to hacking and you know biohacking and controlling through food and supplements and workouts and you name it. I had every tool for the job as I thought. But what I was doing is just overwhelming and forcing myself and controlling how I feel with
Hmm.
all of these tools. right?
Yeah.
So I went into the men's group, and at this time, I remember thinking I started it. Two guys asked me to start it with them, and I remember thinking I'm going to help these poor bastards who have mental health issues because I thought that I was going to help with nutrition. I thought
Mm,
that these guys just don't know how to eat. They're
yeah.
nutritional deficient, and that's what causes trauma. And boy, was I wrong. And so, I go into the group. I shared some personal stuff and was kind of that toxic masculinity, like I'm going to overwhelm and force this thing,
Yeah.
this person that I'm talking about. And I thought that was cool. That's what as a guy, there's a lot of immature masculinity running the show these days. And
Hmm.
luckily had a guy pull me aside and say, "Hey, man, that book you're reading, the trauma." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's you." And I was like, what? And it's kind of odd to confront someone like that, but that's what I needed. I thought at that time that trauma meant, there's no way that I could have trauma. When I got to the childhood part in the book, I skimmed past it because I was like ashamed to even consider that, with my upbringing. And there was a lot there, a lot stored, and a lot that my protected parts didn't want me to feel. And I quickly started to learn about this stuff, and man, kind of opens Pandora's box. And it's been probably 3 or 4 years, and it's been quite the ride. And I've been studying this stuff, and it's really been my go-to when it comes to coaching now because I feel like we get sick because we don't process this stuff, and we just store it in our body. And I don't think we get old anymore. That midlife crisis that people get, that's just trauma piling up. The bucket is overfull and it's overflowing, and we got to meet that stuff and start to get it out of the system.
Oh, I love what you said, and I love how you shared it because you brought us into an insight that a lot of people don't are not willing to step into. You know what I mean? They're not
Mhm.
willing to acknowledge the fact that that is what they're going through because they're masking it and pushing it aside because confronting it requires you to take a second and realize what is really going on. And I think that's the thing, the beauty and the curse of awareness is that it allows you to realize that one, you're not perfect, two, you never will be, and three, it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay. And that last part, what va is so validating because we're human.
Mhm.
We're not meant to be perfect. We're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to live this life as if we're self-operational. It is not good for any of us to think in this manner. You know what I mean? And the fact that somebody had the balls enough to come to you and be like, "Yo, you're this person," and they must have felt some type of comfortability with you to say that because that's real. You know what I mean? That's real to be like, Maybe this is time for you to focus on that." You know how hard it is to have that conversation with somebody?
Oh,
It's a difficult thing.
it's a total red pill moment. I mean, this led to what I would call a spiritual awakening, and you're opening Pandora's box, and it's there's micro, personal, deep stuff, and then there's society and seeing
Mhm.
that, and that's why we have to go slow. Guys like me that have kind of been all or nothing and deep into the pool and jump in, ask questions later kind of thing. We really have to slow down and learn how to titrate and do tiny little bits because you open that door too quickly and it'll blow you out. I mean, that's what it's called. And I spent a lot of times getting my butt kicked and biting off more than I could chew because I was never taught that. So it's all part of the process is slowing down tiny little bits and really listening to your body and letting your nervous system be the guide instead of going with the old pattern or relying on what this guy or that girl says. And yeah, you become your own medicine when you learn to listen to your body.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I believe that 100%, Mitch, because people do not realize like our body tells us what's going on. Our body communicates us in a way that it's like it's so quiet, it's so still. But the fact that we are so taught to be like society teaches you to go, 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 hustle, 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 do all these things at once. You need to juggle and while dancing, while doing all these crazy things that makes no sense without actually staying in tune with what's going on with you. And I think it's something that we all really do need to consider because Um, it's a sad thing. You know what I mean? It's a sad thing because it's like you said, our emotions stick into our body. You know what I mean? They find its space in its own little areas. And when they find that space, that's why it breaks down. That's why your liver's going down. That's why you have gut issues. That's why your appendix ruptured. You know what I mean? All these things because we store it in and people don't. It's like, oh, it's like that movie, Osmosis Jones. You remember that? I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's an old movie. It's Osmosis Jones where Tom Hanks is some guy that works at the zoo and he gets this disease and it goes in and it's like a cartoon inside, so it's like the inside his body they're trying to elect a new mayor to have him eat healthier and to do things because it shows how the body is just all nasty and ugly. So it's a whole new thing, and it's like it sounds like your body was able to get a new mayor that was able to deal with everything on the
Yeah.
inside. I know it's so funny that that's what I think of, but that's instantly the first thing I think of, the Moses Jones movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it because it's a little old. It was like in the 90s, I think, or the
Hmm.
early 2000s. I'm not sure.
It definitely rings a bell. I remember that.
Yeah, and it's really and it's all well, Chris Rock is in it too.
Mhm.
And it's a good movie, but it's so real because our body really stores things, and that's why heart attack. What's the leading cause of heart attack? Stress. You know what I mean? Stress right there in your heart. Boom, boom, can't pump anymore.
Well, when we back out of that, like we know life is stressful, and it's like we want to be able to meet that stress and have the capacity to it. But when things go wrong, when we get sick, when we get the autoimmune, when we get the heart attack, that's because the body's been screaming for so long. And when we have trauma, we disconnect from our body. We don't listen to it anymore. Maybe we're afraid to feel the sensations that are below our neck, and so we
Yeah.
retreat into our head and we think our way to safety. And we got a culture that glorifies burning the candle at both ends, hustling, and that always leads to burnout. And so many people, younger and younger, it's happening, are burnout. And you got everybody from the high performer. These are all the people that I work with: the high performer, the biohacker, the mom that has three kids trying to be fit, running a job, and doing all the things. And it's like we expect people to do that, but we don't expect them to slow down and rest and give themselves permission to listen. And so they can't hear the whispers, and eventually the body screams. And those of us that are lucky enough to feel that, it's a red pill moment. It's a waking up. You get to decide: are you gonna listen and slow down? Or are you gonna keep going and run this thing into a ditch?
Yeah, exactly. And it's I love your analogy with the duck. Oh, I love that. When you said it, it's like I think of a duck and the little feet, beep, boop, boop, and it's moving under the water and we don't see that action. It's so real. You know, what I mean, we don't realize that's how our body is. And I love how you also said like we go up in our head and we stay there and retreat and we don't even care. Like you could see people who don't even care about their body anymore. They get hit by they scratch their arm and there's a big gash and they don't even care to get it stitched up. They don't care to go to urgent care. They don't care about anything because what's the point? You know what I mean? That slogan, that's their slogan for their livelihood is what's the point? And it's sad because it's like you matter. You know what I mean? And I wish we actually lived in a society that actually taught that, taught to make people feel does as an individual as a whole that they matter, that their impact into this world matters. But instead we don't have that. We have, like you said, that oh high performer, that biohack, that all those just keep going, hustle, 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 and that you're replaceable. You're just a number. You know what I mean? So people are here thinking that they're replaceable and they're just a number, and that's when they also get their nervous system out of whack because they get panic attacks thinking, "Oh, then what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Has no purpose. Oh my goodness."
Here's a pill. Keep going.
Yes. Oh, you're right. And then they have to give you medication to numb you. And then you're not even functioning. You're not even operational. You become zombified and you're like, it is what it is.
And what is that message that hey, these emotions and these sensations are bad? No, that's the medicine. And if we zoom back out, if we're gonna love other people, we have to love ourselves first.
Oh.
And I love the analogy that you gave of banging your finger, because I have a little solution for that. And that's something where again we start small in this work and start tiny. So I would encourage the listeners that next time you bang your toe or cut your finger, instead of keep moving on to the next task, pause. Pause and bring some attention to that area. Hold that finger. How would you treat a little kid that had a boo-boo? It's like, oh, you got a boo-boo. That sucks. Where does it hurt at? In your finger? Oh man, what can you blow on it? Whatever that is, that's attunement. That's meeting ourselves. That's loving ourselves. And it's not like we got to have this whole protocol and make this grand gesture out of it. spend 30 seconds connecting with yourself, easing attuning to yourself, bringing some ease into the system, and then go about your business. You'd be interested to see that the pain that and the healing process is so much quicker when we pay attention instead of shuttling it to the side and moving on to the next thing. Our bodies just want our attention.
Exactly. And I love that because that's something that I say all the time is that power in just pausing. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Just taking that second to just breathe, close your eyes, figure out what is really happening. Because one of my biggest things is like, if I feel like there's too much chaos around me, I would instantly get in a panic attack. We're like going to like state fairs or like events or just game again, sporting events and things like that would give me high anxiety where I will be crying and ready to run out the door in a matter of seconds because it's too much. You know what I mean? But I
Mhm.
had to realize that power and pause is real because it makes me realize it doesn't matter what's going on around me. It matters what I feel inside.
Yep.
Inside me matters. My emotions matter. I matter. It's okay. Everything, you know what I mean? Like you have to talk to yourself. And so many people don't talk to themselves nicely. You know what I mean? They're not very nice to themselves. So it's like, when did you start becoming nicer to Mitch?
I mean, I think it's a process, right? It all starts with awareness and seeing that. And I think first I saw the perfectionism and it wasn't, I mean, not gosh, a couple of weeks ago, I really saw how I was judging myself. And it was just another layer of perfectionism. And so, healing is not necessarily linear. It's more like a spiral. We kind of
Yeah.
visit different things in different levels. But for me, I was trying to make a trying to make the right decision is perfection. And then also, when we talk about freeze, I want to go back to the comment you just made about walking into a stadium. The way we go into shutdown is when things happen everything everywhere all at once, right? And so of course we're going
Mhm.
to shut down. And so for me, I was staying frozen because no matter what decision I made, I was damned if I do, damned if I don't, because it wasn't perfect. Perfect is
Mhm.
impossible. And so now I'm frozen because I can't make a decision because I'm afraid of being punished for not doing the perfect thing, which perfect doesn't exist. And so now I can't even make a decision, and I'm frozen with decision making fatigue, if you will, because I'm afraid of being bad or wrong or whatever. And of course, that comes from childhood and our upbringing and our conditioning. But once you can see it, you don't have to be it. It doesn't mean that,
Yeah.
hey, I can notice this pattern and it's right away. The brain can intellectualize a lot quicker than the body, but it's starting to meet those moments when, oh shit, I am really being nasty to myself. And it's all about observation. And in the beginning, we don't want to rush in and change it. That can cause a lot of resistance and cause us to stay stuck as well. We just really want to get curious with it. Like, oh, so if this was happening to me, if I was talking to myself really ugly, let's say, of course, in a session, that's when we do that. But like, say I notice it and I'm somewhere where I can't do that, and I caught it. That's good. As we're doing this work in the beginning, it's like first we intellectualize it, then we can kind of see it happen after the fact. And then we start to catch it while we're doing it. And then we go to do the thing and we do something different. And that's literally rewiring the brain. And it all starts with curiosity and going like, hey, I see you. I can hear what you just said. And like, tell me more about that. Like, why do you feel that way? And then like, to make it a somatic experience, where do I feel that in my body? What kind of images do I get? What kind of sensations does this bring up? And now you've built out this picture, you've opened up this pathway in the brain, and eventually that's how you move something out is just loving it.
Yes, yes. And you're right, it does take time. It takes time to learn who you are. You know what I mean? Like you rejected yourself for so long. I mean, not you specifically, but you know what I mean? Like
Oh no, you're right.
in general, like we do that all the time. Like every single soul or every person that's listening, you know that there's been a time where you rejected yourself, and you know when there's a time where you accepted yourself. And when you rejected yourself, you know how that made you feel. And when you accepted yourself, you also know how that made you feel. And it feels better to accept yourself. And the one thing that I do, I have conversations conversations with myself. Like I'll be in the kitchen doing things. I'm like, you know what? That is a better idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Oh
I'll be
yeah.
like, that makes sense. Like I'll be having those moments, and my husband's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you saying these things? Like, who are you talking to? I'm like, listen, it's a me and me conversation. So please see yourself out because you're not gonna understand, and I don't want to have this conversation with you out loud. So, you know what I mean? And it's okay to say that because he understands. He's like, okay, whatever. But it's like we need to get more comfortable with ourselves because we don't always have to like ourselves, but we don't always have to love ourselves, but we have to know ourselves. You know what I mean? And once we know ourselves, and we can give ourselves the grace to handle life and the grace to deal with people and the grace to know that you're going to make mistakes and you're learning along the way and everybody else is learning along the way too. There's no real cheat code to this besides giving yourself the break that you need. And it sucks because time is catching up to us, Mitch. I feel like I could keep talking to you for hours on end, but what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Well, to kind of just piggyback on what we were saying there is, yeah, I mean, we just want to show up and meet these parts, and what that does is it gives them more space to exist, and even if they're contradictory thoughts can we and emotions can we allow the happy and the sad to be here at the same time? Can we get interested in what both of these want and allow them to be here? That creates more space, more capacity. We're able to regulate better, and then we get agency back instead of, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that. We understand that we're a complex being and that
Mhm.
we can make choices, we can learn from them, we can be wrong. That's okay. That's not failure. That's feedback. And the more space and
Yes.
the more agency we have, and the more feedback we can get, the more
Yes.
choices and better human we can be. It's we're not done until we're dead.
Exactly. And even when we're dead, who knows if we're done or not, right? And you never know. So
We're
please.
done with this body in this
Yeah,
place.
exactly. You never know what else is gonna happen. So exactly, there's so much life has to offer, and that's why it gives me so much appreciation for life. Because if I'm just learning this now and I just want to know more, what else can I find out 5, 10 years from now? It's like, why stop? You know what I mean? Just
So deep
allow
rabbit hole.
yourself, exactly, just position yourself to be that universal student. There's
Yep.
always an opportunity to learn because then you use discernment to decide where it falls in your values, where it falls in your faith, when your walk of life, and then you can decide where it fits in your body if it's something that's worth doing or not. You know, not everything is for you, but not everything is also not against you, you know. So certain things are really there to be for you. So if you want to know more about Mitch, because how could you not after this conversation? Go check him out. I have access to his website in the description. If you're listening in audio, just click in the link and you will find all of his great stuff that he has to offer the world. Great content, just so that you can continue on listening. And if you're on YouTube, and in the description, you find access to all of his social media links and his website, all of the greatness that he has to offer the world. So you can follow his life, reach out to him if you want to know more, if you need that extra assistance, or if you're curious and have another question you want to follow up on, go hit him up. He's your guy. So, and he has a podcast. And so that gives you even more reason for you to check him out and keep on thinking. You know what I mean? So with that being said, bye.